There are no coincidences in this universe. The fact that you are here, hearing these words, means you have already been chosen by the vibration of wealth. This video did not stumble into your reality by chance. You attracted it. Somewhere deep within, a quiet part of you already knows you are destined for greatness. That inner voice, the one that whispers, "You were made for more," is not imagination, it is truth calling you home. You are not here to learn how to become a millionaire. You are here to remember that you already are one in consciousness. The world outside may not yet show the evidence, but everything begins unseen. Every fortune, every empire, every transformation was first born in the invisible realm of belief. This moment marks the turning point, not because something new is coming to you, but because you are awakening to what has been within you all along. The law of assumption, wealth begins in the mind. Everything that exists in your life right now began first as a thought. Every building you see, every empire that stands, every fortune that circulates in this world was once invisible, existing only in the imagination of someone who dared to believe it was real before it appeared. This is the essence of the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true about yourself and your world must eventually harden into fact. Wealth, therefore, does not begin with effort, opportunity, or even education. It begins with an assumption, a deep inner conviction that you are already the person you wish to become. The future millionaire is not created through external struggle. The future millionaire is revealed the moment you assume the identity of one in consciousness. Most people live backward. They wait for proof before they believe. They wait for success before they feel successful, for money before they feel rich, for recognition before they feel worthy. But life does not operate by that order. Consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. The one who understands this law stops waiting and starts assuming. You must dare to believe in your wealth before the world shows it to you. You must live, breathe, and think from the end, from the reality of already having it. When you do, life has no choice but to rearrange itself to mirror your belief. The mind is not a passive observer of life. It is the architect of experience. Whatever picture you hold consistently in imagination becomes the blueprint from which reality is built. If you see yourself as limited, struggling, or unlucky, your world will dutifully reflect that story. But if you persist in seeing yourself as prosperous, confident, and capable, that image will draw to you the people, circumstances, and ideas that match it. This is not magic, it is law. The same law that governs gravity, cause and effect. You cannot assume poverty and receive abundance. You cannot carry an inner image of lack and expect prosperity to flourish. The outer world always takes the shape of the inner one. The moment you decide that you are already wealthy, not someday, not when circumstances improve, but now, you shift from hoping to knowing. And in that knowing lies your power. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, make choices that align with your new identity. The energy of I am is the most creative force in existence. Whatever follows those two words becomes your reality. Say, I am rich, and mean it. Say it until every cell in your being vibrates with it. Feel the freedom, the peace, the gratitude of already having what you desire. That feeling is the language of creation. It is not arrogance to assume greatness. It is faith in your divine power to create. The small self doubts, questions, and looks for evidence. The awakened self declares, assumes, and knows that all evidence must eventually conform. When you assume the feeling of being wealthy, you do not chase success. Success begins to chase you. Ideas appear where there were none before. People are drawn to your confidence. Doors open that were once closed. The invisible realm begins to move in your favor because you have aligned with the vibration of wealth itself. Understand this deeply. The law of assumption does not require effort. It requires acceptance. You do not need to force or manipulate reality. You need only to accept the truth that your imagination is the creative power of the universe expressing through you. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and rest in that knowing. Let the external world catch up. The more you persist in this inner conviction, the faster the reflection appears in your outer life. To assume wealth is not to ignore your current circumstances, it is to refuse to be defined by them. You may have little in your bank account today, but if in consciousness you are already rich, life will soon rearrange to match that image. Your job is not to figure out the how. That is the work of the unseen intelligence that governs all creation. Your only task is to remain faithful to the end you have chosen. Persist in the belief that you are already what you desire to be, and that assumption, if sustained, must become fact. There is a quiet power in those who live from the end. They no longer plead or struggle. They simply know. They walk with calm assurance, because they have already accepted the truth of their desire. Their wealth, success, and happiness are inevitable, not because of luck, but because they have claimed it in consciousness. The millionaire mindset is not a dream. It is a state of being. When you enter that state inwardly, everything outwardly begins to shift to sustain it. The law of assumption reminds us that the external world is a mirror, not a master. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the cause behind them. Every assumption you hold is a seed planted in the garden of reality. Guard your assumptions as you would guard treasure, for they are shaping your destiny. Refuse to assume lack, limitation, or failure. Instead, feed your mind with images of abundance, success, and purpose. Live each day as if the wealth you desire were already yours, because in truth it is. The delay between assumption and manifestation is only the time it takes for the invisible to become visible. So, begin now. Close your eyes and see yourself as the millionaire you are becoming. Feel the joy of financial freedom, the confidence of self-made success, the gratitude of living your dream. Assume it, own it, embody it, and let life do the rest. For the law of assumption is infallible. It cannot fail you unless you fail to believe. Wealth begins in the mind, and the moment you assume it as real, your journey toward visible abundance has already begun. Feeling is the secret language of creation. The entire universe responds to one thing only: vibration. And vibration is born from feeling. Long before your words, your plans, or your actions take shape, your emotions send out a frequency that calls matching experiences into being. Feeling is the language through which you speak to the infinite. Every emotion is a command to the unseen, a declaration of what you are ready to experience. When you feel poor, anxious, or undeserving, you vibrate lack, and life mirrors that back to you. But when you feel abundant, confident, and fulfilled, the universe rearranges itself to reflect those emotions in form. Your feeling is the key that unlocks the door to every desire you hold. It is the invisible magnet drawing everything you believe you deserve directly to you. People often misunderstand creation. They believe their thoughts alone are enough, but thought without emotion is lifeless. It is the feeling that gives thought its power, its electricity, its creative force. You can repeat affirmations for hours, but unless they awaken a real emotion within you, unless they make you feel as though what you desire is already yours, they remain empty words. The universe does not respond to words, it responds to the vibration beneath them. To feel wealthy, even in the absence of physical wealth, is to tune yourself to the frequency of abundance. Once you hold that vibration consistently, life cannot help but deliver experiences that match it. Feeling is not merely a reaction to circumstances, it is the cause of them. When you understand this, you stop allowing the outer world to dictate how you feel. You stop waiting for money to feel secure, for love to feel complete, for success to feel proud. Instead, you begin to feel first, and then the world catches up. You learn that joy attracts more joy, gratitude multiplies blessings, and peace magnetizes success. To feel rich is to plant the seed of riches. To feel powerful is to open the channel through which power flows. This is the secret most never grasp, that your emotions are not random, they are instructions written to the fabric of reality itself. You must therefore learn to dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, not as a fantasy, but as a state of being. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my dream were already real? And then live from that emotion. Walk with the confidence, gratitude, and ease of one who already possesses what they once desired. When you maintain that feeling long enough, the outer world has no choice but to conform to it. The law is certain and unfailing. Every great manifestation begins with the assumption of the feeling that the wish has already come to pass. You are never waiting for the dream to happen. You are simply aligning your inner vibration until reality catches up. Most people sabotage themselves by clinging to feelings of doubt. They visualize abundance but feel fear. They affirm success but feel unworthy. And the universe listens to the feeling, not the words. It hears the fear louder than the faith. It sees the vibration of lack more clearly than the image of wealth. This is why you must discipline your emotions. You must become the master of your inner state, not its victim. When you catch yourself feeling anxious or unworthy, pause and shift the feeling consciously. Breathe deeply and imagine what it feels like to already have what you desire. Let that feeling fill your body. The calm, the certainty, the relief. Stay there until it becomes familiar, until it feels natural. That feeling, when sustained, is creation in motion. To feel is to live as the creator rather than the observer. The world outside you is a mirror reflecting your dominant emotions. Change the feeling, and the reflection must change. This truth is both liberating and challenging because it leaves no room for excuses. You cannot blame conditions or other people. Your inner state is always the starting point. If your life is filled with struggle, it is only because you have been feeling struggle as normal. If your life is rich with opportunity and ease, it is because those feelings have become your home vibration. You get to choose, every moment, which frequency you live in. Cultivate feelings of gratitude daily, even for the smallest things. Gratitude is the quickest way to shift into abundance. When you give thanks for what you have, you send out the message, I am fulfilled, and that fulfillment attracts more to be grateful for. Likewise, when you feel joy without reason, you create new reasons for joy to appear. The emotional state you dwell in becomes the pattern from which your life is woven. Every time you choose a higher feeling, peace over panic, faith over fear, love over doubt, you rewrite your reality. True mastery lies in maintaining the feeling even when the outer evidence contradicts it. That is where faith lives, in the unseen. You may look around and see lack, but within you, you hold the vibration of abundance. You may see temporary challenges, but you feel inevitable victory. This unwavering emotional alignment is what separates dreamers from manifestors. Anyone can imagine success, but only those who feel it real will live it. Feeling is not a temporary state, it is the foundation upon which reality stands. So, if you wish to become a millionaire, stop asking when it will happen and start asking how does it feel now that it already has. Let that feeling become your atmosphere. Wake up in the morning and feel the gratitude of a wealthy person. Speak from that energy, walk from that certainty, breathe from that peace. Every second you dwell in that vibration, you are magnetizing opportunities, people, and circumstances that will deliver the physical evidence of your inner state. You don't need to force it. You don't need to chase it. You need only to feel it, deeply, sincerely, and continuously, until it feels natural. The secret language of creation is not thought, not words, but feeling. It is the silent, invisible force shaping every experience you encounter. When you learn to speak it fluently, the universe listens. It rushes to mirror your inner emotion with outer manifestation. Feel the abundance now, and you will soon stand among those who once only dreamed of it. For feeling is not just the secret, it is the source from which all creation flows. The inner conversation that builds empires. Every life you see on this planet is a reflection of one thing, the inner conversation that runs silently within a person's mind. Your entire destiny is shaped by the words you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening. That quiet voice within you is the architect of your reality. It draws the blueprints of your life, line by line, through every thought, belief, and self-concept you hold. Long before wealth appears in the physical world, it is first spoken in the unseen language of inner dialogue. You cannot rise above the conversation you have with yourself. If your inner talk is filled with limitation, doubt, and fear, your world will obey those instructions. But if your inner dialogue is one of confidence, abundance, and certainty, your external life will rearrange itself to match that tone. Every empire, every success story, every transformation begins with a changed conversation in the mind of its creator. Most people believe their circumstances are the cause of their feelings, but the truth is far more powerful. Your assumptions, your words, and your inner tone create your circumstances. The dialogue within you is not a reflection of life, it is the seed of it. Each time you declare something internally, you give it life. When you say to yourself, I always struggle, the universe hears your command and obeys it. When you say, everything I touch turns to gold, the same law responds and confirms it. Your subconscious mind does not question or debate. It accepts what you repeatedly affirm as truth. And because it is the creative power of your world, it brings forth whatever you impress upon it through repetition and emotion. The key is to become aware of what you are saying inwardly. Most inner conversations are unconscious, automatic loops of fear, self-doubt, and old conditioning. You may tell yourself stories of struggle, failure, or rejection without realizing that these stories are shaping your future. You are never punished for your thoughts, you are punished by them. Likewise, you are never rewarded for your affirmations, you are rewarded through them. The inner conversation is the cause, and the outer experience is its echo. To build an empire, you must first take command of your inner voice. Train it, guide it, and direct it as deliberately as a sculptor shapes clay. Every thought is a brushstroke painting the masterpiece of your destiny. Begin by noticing how you speak to yourself about money, success, and worthiness. Do you say things like, I can't afford that, or I'm just not lucky? Every such phrase plants a seed of limitation. Change it. Replace it with, money flows easily to me, or I am always in the right place at the right time. Say it until it becomes natural, until your subconscious begins to believe it. The moment your inner talk shifts, your external world will follow. You may not see it instantly, but the law is exact and unfailing. As your conversation changes, so too will the people, events, and opportunities that enter your life. The world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting your inner dialogue. You must understand that the inner voice is creative, not descriptive. It doesn't describe what is, it creates what will be. When you constantly tell yourself stories of failure, you are scripting your future downfall. When you tell yourself stories of triumph, you are scripting your inevitable victory. The secret to success is not in louder affirmations or more effort. It lies in quiet consistency. The more you persist in a new inner story, the more it becomes your truth. Speak to yourself as the person you wish to become, not the one you used to be. Imagine the conversation you would have if your dream were already fulfilled. How would you think? What would you say to yourself? How would you feel? Then begin that conversation now, before any external evidence appears. This is the hidden work of creation, unseen, yet unstoppable. The inner conversation is the engine of your destiny, and you are its driver. Every time you replay a thought of doubt, you are steering yourself toward limitation. Every time you affirm success and abundance, you are steering toward expansion. To build your empire, discipline your inner speech with the same care that a musician tunes an instrument. Speak only harmony, not discord. When your inner tone aligns with your desires, the world becomes your symphony. Realize, too, that your inner conversation doesn't end when you fall silent, it continues in feeling. The emotion behind your words gives them life. When you affirm wealth but feel unworthy, the emotion cancels the declaration. Therefore, as you speak to yourself, feel the truth of your words. Let every affirmation be charged with conviction. Speak as though it were already true, because in consciousness it is. When the inner conversation is saturated with belief, the subconscious accepts it as fact and brings it forth into visible form. This is how invisible thought becomes tangible reality. You must also learn to silence the opposing voice. The critic within that says, "You can't. It's impossible. You're not enough." That voice has no power except the one you give it. Each time it arises, replace it with your new truth. Say, "I can and I will. It is already done." Over time, the old voice weakens and fades, replaced by the sound of certainty. The more you repeat your chosen inner dialogue, the more natural it becomes, until it plays automatically. A constant stream of faith and power guiding your every step. This is how champions think. This is how millionaires are made. Not first in the bank account, but in the mind. Remember, you are never alone in your inner world. Every conversation you have with yourself is a conversation with the divine creative power within you. When you speak of abundance, that power says yes. When you speak of limitation, it says yes again. It mirrors and multiplies whatever you give it. Choose wisely what you tell it. Choose words that uplift, empower, and expand. Speak not as one hoping for wealth, but as one who already possesses it. Feel the strength of those words, the truth of them, the certainty that they cannot fail. In time, your outer world will reflect the empire you have built within. Opportunities will appear as if by magic. People will arrive who share your vision. Money will flow naturally, drawn to the confident vibration you radiate. But it all begins with that quiet, unseen act, the conversation you hold with yourself in every moment. Guard it, guide it, and master it, for your inner dialogue is your kingdom. Speak greatness within, and greatness will echo without. The empire you dream of is already being built, brick by invisible brick, through every word you choose to say to yourself right now. Living in the end, the power of fulfilled desire, the secret to creation lies in one profound truth. You must live as though your desire is already fulfilled. This is the essence of living in the end. It is not about hoping, wishing, or waiting. It is about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled now. When you live in the end, you no longer chase your dream. You embody it. You stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start declaring, "What is done." This single shift in consciousness moves you from the realm of wanting into the realm of having, and that is where miracles unfold. The world outside may not yet show evidence of your dream, but when you live in the end, you know that the unseen is already taking form. You walk in certainty while others walk in doubt. You live from the destination rather than traveling toward it, and that inner knowing transforms everything around you. Living in the end means to mentally and emotionally occupy the state of your fulfilled desire, no matter what your senses say. If you wish to be wealthy, you feel the wealth now, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, but in this present moment. You imagine the relief, the freedom, and the gratitude that would fill you if the goal were already complete. You let that emotion become your new home. In that moment, you stop vibrating lack and start vibrating fulfillment. You begin to emit the frequency of the end result, and life mirrors it back to you through opportunities, ideas, and synchronicities that align perfectly with your assumption. The outer world always conforms to the inner world. It is law. Most people live in the middle, constantly reacting to circumstances, believing only what they can see. But creation requires faith in the unseen. Living in the end is not pretending, it is perceiving reality from a higher truth. It is understanding that imagination is not fantasy. It is creation in its earliest stage. The unseen always precedes the seen. When you mentally step into the end and stay there, you send out a clear signal to the universe. This is who I am. And once that identity is accepted in consciousness, nothing can stop it from expressing itself in form. The outer world bends to the command of your inner conviction. To live in the end is to walk with quiet power. You no longer plead with life or chase after your goals with desperation. You rest in the awareness that your desire is already accomplished. You move, speak, and make decisions from that knowing. Every action becomes natural, inspired, and effortless. You are no longer motivated by lack, but by fulfillment. You do not act to get something, you act because you already have it. This inner posture changes the energy behind everything you do, and that energy is what creates results. When you live in the end, fear dissolves. There is no more anxiety about how it will happen, because in your mind it already has. You understand that the how is never your job. It belongs to the unseen intelligence that orchestrates all things. Your only responsibility is to hold the end firmly in consciousness, to keep your inner gaze fixed on the completed state. The moment you waver and begin to doubt, you return to the middle, the place of uncertainty. But when you persist in the end, refusing to be moved by appearances, the invisible begins to take shape in the visible. Life rearranges itself in mysterious, perfect ways to fulfill your assumption. Think of every desire as a scene in a movie already filmed and waiting to be played. Your imagination allows you to step into that scene and live it now. You can close your eyes and see it, hear it, and feel it as real. The more vivid your imagination, the faster your reality changes. You might imagine yourself sitting in your dream home, or checking your bank account filled with abundance, or feeling the satisfaction of achieving your goal. When you truly feel that experience, you have already entered the end state. From that moment, it is only a matter of time before the outer world catches up. Living in the end does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let temporary appearances dictate your truth. You may look around and see lack, but within you feel abundance. You may see obstacles, but within you know the path is already clear. The world may say, it's impossible, but within you have already heard is done. This is the faith that moves mountains, not blind belief, but conscious creation. When you persist in the end, your faith becomes the substance through which the unseen becomes seen. The greatest power you possess is your ability to feel the end before it appears. Every great innovator, leader, and creator in history used this principle. Whether they understood it or not, they held an inner picture so real, so vivid, that the world eventually conformed to it. The millionaire saw themselves as successful long before their first dollar appeared. The visionary saw the invention complete before the first model was built. They lived in the end, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, until reality had no choice but to match it. The beauty of living in the end is that it frees you from time. You no longer wait for the future, you bring the future into the now. You collapse the distance between where you are and where you want to be by assuming the state of already having arrived. The feeling of fulfillment becomes your present reality, and that feeling magnetizes its physical equivalent. The world around you is plastic to your consciousness. It reshapes itself according to your dominant state. When you dwell in the end, you are broadcasting the vibration of completion, and completion must manifest. So begin now. Whatever your desire, wealth, love, freedom, peace, claim it inwardly as already yours. Close your eyes and see it done. Feel the satisfaction, the calm, the gratitude of its completion. Walk each day as though nothing were missing. Speak as though your dream were a memory, not a wish. Think, act, and feel from the end, for that is where your power lies. When you live in the end, life itself bends to your assumption. The fulfilled desire begins to take on flesh, time bends, and the invisible becomes visible. The world responds not to what you want, but to who you are being. And when you are being the one who already has it, the universe rushes to make it true. To live in the end is to master creation itself, to dwell in the certainty of your own divine power. You are not waiting for your dream is waiting for you to inhabit it. Step into it fully, and watch as reality unfolds in perfect alignment with the world you have already built within. Faith is the substance. Action is its shadow. Every great manifestation begins not with movement, but with faith. Faith is the unseen foundation upon which every dream stands. It is the invisible substance that precedes all form, the spiritual certainty that what you desire already exists in the unseen before it takes shape in the seen. Most people believe that faith follows evidence, that they must first see the result to believe it is possible. But the truth is reversed. Belief comes first, and the evidence follows. Faith is not something you build through proof. It is the power that creates the proof. It is the quiet, immovable conviction that your desire is already fulfilled, even when the outer world gives you no reason to believe it. To have faith is to live from the end, to walk with the confidence of one who already possesses the thing they seek. It is to look beyond appearances and hold unwaveringly to the unseen truth that the desire is real in consciousness, and therefore must appear in form. Faith is the architect of all reality, the unseen builder that shapes worlds. When you have faith, you are no longer swayed by delays, doubts, or appearances. You no longer beg, plead, or worry. You rest in the knowing that the law of creation cannot fail. You do not chase results. You allow them. You do not force outcomes. You expect them. This is the difference between those who struggle for success and those who attract it effortlessly. One depends on effort. The other depends on faith. Faith is not blind optimism or naive hope. It is a conscious, deliberate alignment with the reality you have chosen. It is the acceptance that the invisible is more real than the visible, because the visible was born from it. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust the process. You water it, nourish it, and let time do its work. That trust is faith. The moment you plant a seed in consciousness, a vision, a desire, a dream, you must treat it the same way. Do not doubt it because you cannot yet see it. The unseen soil of faith is where the miracle germinates. Action, then, is the shadow of faith. It is not the cause, but the effect. True action flows effortlessly from conviction. When you know something is done, you naturally act in alignment with it. You speak differently, carry yourself differently, and make decisions that support your inner certainty. That is inspired action, not forced, but natural. You are no longer acting to get something, you are acting because you already have it. This distinction is crucial. Action without faith is struggle. Faith without action is stillness. But faith that naturally gives birth to action is power. Most people try to reverse this law. They believe that massive effort will create faith. They labor, push, and grind in hopes that results will one day convince them to believe. But it never works that way. The more you act from lack, the more lack you create. The more you strive from doubt, the more doubt you feed. Real creation begins with the inner knowing, the deep feeling that it is already accomplished. From that inner state, action becomes effortless and joyful. You begin to notice opportunities that align with your belief. You meet people who support your vision. You take steps that feel inspired, not desperate. Faith opens doors that hard work alone could never unlock. To cultivate this kind of faith, you must learn to trust your imagination more than your senses. The senses show only what has been. The imagination reveals what can be. When you close your eyes and see yourself already living your dream, you are exercising faith. You are declaring that the unseen is more real than the seen. That declaration, when held firmly, rewires your entire being. Your mind begins to expect success, your emotions begin to feel abundance, and your body begins to act as if it were already true. This alignment between thought, feeling, and action is what makes faith unstoppable. Faith also requires persistence. It is not a fleeting emotion, but a state of consciousness you must occupy repeatedly until it becomes your natural dwelling place. There will be moments when doubt whispers, "It's not working." That is when you must remain unmoved. Faith does not flinch in the face of delay. Faith does not retreat when evidence is absent. Faith knows that creation is already complete. It is only the outer reflection that takes time to appear. When you hold that awareness, you can rest peacefully even in uncertainty, because you know that unseen forces are working in your favor. There is profound strength in quiet faith. It does not shout or demand, it simply knows. It stands firm when others give up. It smiles in the face of obstacles, for it understands that the outcome is already written. The one who possesses faith walks through life with a calm power, not arrogance, but assurance. Every step they take is steady because they are guided by an inner conviction that cannot fail. Their belief becomes their compass, their confidence their map, and their persistence their vehicle. Action then becomes an effortless dance between the inner and outer world. You are guided intuitively toward the right opportunities. You are drawn to people who support your growth. You find yourself taking bold steps that once felt impossible. This is the magic of faith. It not only creates the vision, but also aligns every circumstance required for its fulfillment. When faith is present, action becomes divine movement, a natural unfolding of destiny rather than a forced attempt to control outcomes. Understand this truth deeply: the outer world is the shadow of your inner world. Just as a shadow cannot move without the object that casts it, your actions cannot move reality without the faith that animates them. Faith is the cause, action is the effect. Strengthen your faith, and your actions will become powerful. Doubt your faith, and your actions will become hollow. To create effortlessly, live from the conviction that what you desire is already yours. Then let your actions be the joyful expression of that certainty. So stand firm in your faith, speak from it, feel from it, act from it. Know that every thought charged with conviction sets creation into motion. You are never waiting for your dream is waiting for your faith. And when your faith becomes unshakable, your actions become unstoppable. Faith is the unseen builder of your fortune, and action is merely its echo in the physical world. Nurture the faith, and the shadow, the manifestation, will inevitably follow. For faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. When you truly understand this, you realize you were never meant to chase results. You were meant to believe them into being, and then simply walk the path your faith has already paved.